Hi, thanks for joining us for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. I'm Chris Cooper. It's getting hot. We're going to talk about how to keep your lawn happy all summer. Also, ants can bug you at a picnic, but fire ants can ruin your day. We're going to talk about how to control them. That's just ahead on the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South.
Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Family Plot. I'm Chris Cooper. Joining me today is Booker T. Lee.
Glad to be here.
Booker's the extension agent right here in Shelby County, and Mr. D is with us.
Hello.
Thanks for joining me, fellas.
Glad to be here.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah, this is good always.
All right, Booker. We have our lawn care guy with us today, Mr. D. So we're going to talk about good old summer lawn care. And Booker, we have a couple of questions for you. So number one, which is a common question, what is the most common diseases in lawns right now?
This time of the year, we see a lot of disease in our lawn this time. Number one, probably brown patch. We see a lot of brown patch on our lawn. It's caused by hot and humid weather. Okay. And we don't have some hot and humid weather. Yeah. And also, you can give it too much nitrogen fertilizer. Okay. So you want to hold back on your nitrogen fertilizer when you see brown patch. And also, compact soil. Aerate that soil. And I did that to my soil last year, and that made a big difference in the lawn diseases. Okay. Because I did have a brown patch. Okay. And I noticed spring dead spot. Cutting your grass too short. Now, this time you start cutting that grass, you don't want to cut it too short. Most lawn grass need to be 2 to 3 inches tall. Okay. And also, disease on your lawn, bag that grass. Sometimes the lead clipping on the lawn, but now when you got disease, bag that grass.
Right. Okay, because we don't want that to spread, right?
Right. And next is powder mildew. You see a lot of powder mildew where the grass stay wet a long time, poor air circulation. You see that grass begin to turn white. That's called powder mildew. Most in on your cool season grass, you'll see that a lot of times. And also, again, avoid high nitrogen fertilizer. Okay. Okay. And grass under trees can cause that too. Water early in the morning time. Right. Let that grass dry off before nighttime. Okay. Another thing is fair rain. And that's come when you have a lot of dead stump or something in your lawn and it beginning ready to rot out. Okay. That can cause that fair rain. You see them a lot of time after rain where the little mushroom in your soil start popping up.
I've seen that.
I see it I had that, Chris.
Okay. You will admit it?
I had a tree in my lawn and I had it removed. Okay. And every time it rained, you'll see those mushrooms come up. It's not hurting anything, just there. They'll go away. Once everything rot and decay, you'll see it go away. Okay. Then you say a dollar spot. And dollar spot is called by poor drainage. We do have a lot of soil that drain poorly now. If water stand after the rain, you're probably going to start seeing dollar spot begin to pop up. Okay. Check the soil pH. You want that soil pH between 6.0 and 6.5. All right. And the only way you can do that is by what? A soil test. You cannot go out there and guess at it. And also cut the grass at the recommended height. Okay. Don't cut it too low. Now, I cut my grass low twice. And then when I do those first couple cutting, then I let my mow up and keep it at the right height. Okay. And another thing, we need to make sure we water our grass early in the morning time. Get that grass time to dry off before nightfall. Two things do that, and a lot of times these disease can be controlled by culture practice. Right. You don't want to go out there and start adding a lot of chemical to your lawn, because that's the first thing we do. What can I spray on my lawn and get rid of it? If you keep just spraying chemicals on there, it's going to come back again next year. But you want to try to find the problem, see what's wrong with the problem, then try to correct the problem. Then you'll have a less diseases on there. But hot humidity, overwatering. And another thing we get disease on our lawn is we cutting our grass with a dull mow blade. We need to have that mow blade sharp. Sharpen that mow blade. Keep that blade sharp in there. I sharpen mine at least 2 or 3 times during the growing season to make sure that I have a good sharp cut. Another thing, it cuts your grass in different directions. You need to try to go a different direction, and keep it and make that grass stands up. Okay. And because you're going the same way, you're laying that grass down. Right. I had a lady call me out there one time and said, my grass is turning brown all the time when I just cut it. And I said, let me go look at that. I said, when did you had your lawnmower blade sharp? She said, I never have. It'll beating it down. Yeah, it wasn't cutting it down.
Yeah, no clean cut, right?
No clean cut. Now, if you're going to aerate your lawn, you got warm season grass or you got cool season grass. You aerate it when the grass begin to come out and grow. Now, you still can do your Bermuda grass right now, but I would try to do it in the evening time now. I don't want that roast exposure to hot weather all during the day right quick. I'll get a little cooling off period at night. Okay. But aerated, you'll see a big difference in your lawn thing in there.
Okay. And let me ask you this. So can a fungus kill your grass? Is that a possibility?
Over a period of time, it will.
period of time,
No,
okay.
you don't have 2 or 3 years, because if you're not like spring dead spot, you have it during that year, but during that growing season, it'll go back in there. It'll cover it up.
Okay.
But each year, it'll get larger and larger. If you don't do something to control that problem, it eventually will kill your grass. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, look, there's somebody out there watching, and they're like, okay, Booker, we understand your cultural practices, but I just want something to kill it. So what can they use to actually control some of your lawn diseases?
Well, a lot of things they might want to know what disease they have first.
Okay,
You
that's
got
right.
spring dead spot, and you got a brown patch. It's different fungicide to control that. The best thing to do is check on your hardware stores and see know what disease you have. If you don't know, you can bring by our office. We'll look at it for you and tell you. Then you can go by the hardware store and get you a fungicide to control that disease on there. But that's the most important thing. But know what disease you have, because different control for different diseases.
Okay, sure.
And a lot of people want to know will it affect my Buddha grass, will it affect my Zoysia grass. Fungus most affects a lot of grass.
Okay.
Yeah, you will see it on that.
Okay. So why do I have moss on my lawn? Yeah, that's a common question.
People like moss. I like moss. No, I don't have moss, but I've seen a lady with just a lot of moss on her bread, and she water her moss till like she take care of her grass, 'cause in the shade. A lot of times when you have moss on your lawn, it's really, you have a compact soil, could have poor drainage, and normally it's in shade. You see a lot of time in shade. Normally when water kind of stand when it rains. You don't drain fast, it'll kind of stay there, and then also you see that moss begin to grow in there. But if in a shaded location, and on a shade tree,
Okay.
it's probably got poor drainage, and the poor drainage really, really big on that.
Okay.
On moss. But moss look really good.
it looks
in there.
nice, like,
Some
you know.
people say just let the moss take over and just grow where it grows, and don't try to control it. But you need to aerate it, check the soil pH. Sometimes it's be like the acid soil. You need to check the soil pH. Might need to rate the soil pH some.
Right.
And to get it in there, keep that moss from.
Yeah, the moss looks good. If you keep the leaves off, Diane Mauchi's place has nice moss there. So a lot of people like it.
Well, yeah, we went down in Alabama, and this lady, this is all she had in her backyard, just moss, and she had a sprinkler system on her moss.
Right.
Watering that moss, keep it looking good.
Make sure it look good.
Make sure
huh?
it look good. Yeah, so I guess one thing about moss, you won't have no other disease probably get into it.
Yeah, probably so.
That could be a problem, having growing moss in there.
Okay. Let me ask you about winter kill. So I'm sure you got a lot of questions at the office this year about winter kill. Why are we seeing so many cases with the winter kill?
Wait.
Does it specifically have to do with the cold winter we had?
Do with the weather. And a lot of times you see a lot of winter kill. Normally it's where you got a low area in your yard.
Okay.
And then when it rains, get cold, that water kind of stay there a period of time longer. Because I had winter kill, and the way my house faced it, I had everybody else, snow and ice were gone.
Right.
I had mine for about 2 or 3 days on that still.
Okay.
So that's why they stay on there a little period of time. You will see that winter kill begin to happen in there. So the best thing to do for winter kill, once the grass start coming out real good, get you a wreck all that dead grass out of there, and just clean it up real good. Then the Moody grass will come back and spread over that.
Okay.
Zoysia grass takes some time to go over there. If you've got a big spot in your Zoysia grass, you might have to reside it some.
Okay. And real quickly, Booker, when is a good time to have your soil tested?
Well, anytime you can have your soil, anytime to have your
right.
soil tested, and everything in there. But the ideal time is in the fall of the year.
Okay.
Because you need to add lime to it. You can come in and add lime to it during that time. And by the time your grass begin to start needing it, it's already there. Now, on your soil pH, it's going to take some time before you get a different reading. You put it down in this fall, you might see the same thing for at least about 6 months, but after then, it's going to start getting to your reading. But it will help anyway still, though, that lime. And lime is the most important thing on your lawn grasses, because it can regulate all the other fertilizer that you put down.
Okay.
It won't be taken up by the plant.
All right. Well, there you have it from our lawn guy, Mr. Booker T. Lee. Thanks for the information, Booker.
Thanks.
We're going to take a look at our pepper plant. We think there may be some nutrient deficiency going on with this. If you look at the older leaves, you can see some yellowing. Again, to me, that's always an indicator of a nutrient deficiency. And you see this first on your older leaves, especially for your pepper plants and for your tomato plants as well. What needs to be done is possibly going back in with a nitrogen fertilizer so we can green this plant up. We'll put that down, possibly do a side dress with that, water it in, and what should happen in a few weeks is you will see this plant start to green up, and then from there, it should be fine. All right, Mr. D, ants and fire ants. We don't want them to ruin our picnics.
They can do it.
They can do it.
They can do it quickly. Well, fire ants are pretty much everywhere in our area. I don't know how far north they go. Probably, I live in Lauderdale County and I don't have them up there.
Really?
I do not. So I know Tipton and every south of Tipton County, Tennessee, and the central part of West Tennessee, pretty much, and south, that we've got them. But still, the old standby method on fire ant control is using the Texas two-step.
Yeah.
And that's simply putting a bait out, and make sure, if you've got a bait left over from last year, you need to check and make sure that the ants will feed on that bait. And the way to do that is just put some of it down beside a fire ant mound and sit there and watch it and see if they'll go out and start feeding on it. Because most of the baits, the base is a milk base or some kind of oil base or something like that, and it can go bad, it can get rancid, and it might get to the point where it doesn't attract the fire ants. So the baits need to be fresh enough that they will attract the fire ants. And you need to put the bait out when the ants are actively foraging. So, in the afternoon, and there's no need to put it out right before sundown because they're not going to be actively foraging, at night.
How far from the mound do you put the bait down? That's usually the question that we get.
I definitely wouldn't put it on the mound. Okay. Those entrance and exit holes for the fire ants are out 2 or 3 feet away from the mound. So, if you've got a lot of fire ants, I just broadcast it. Just scatter it around your yard. They're going to go to it. They're going to find it. And what you're hoping that they will do, the fire ant can't eat that bait. Right. That worker's not going to eat that bait. He has a sieve and he can't swallow solid food. The worker I say he, it's a she. She can't swallow that solid food. So she will take it to a 4th or 5th instar larvae is the only stage of the fire ant that can eat solid food. That larvae will eat that food, and then it will regurgitate it into a pouch, a little pouch, turn it into a liquid basically, and then the worker fire ants will take that liquid, they will feed off that liquid, they will take that liquid to the queen, and so this is a process that will take 8 to 10 weeks to kill the queen.
Wow.
And after that happens, then go out there, 8 to 10 weeks to kill the colony because the worker fire ants can live 9 or 10 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks after you put the bait out, put a contact kill. Go out there with a contact insecticide and spray. And the reason you're doing that is hopefully within that 2 or 3 weeks you've gotten the queen, taking the queen out. The workers live, like I said, 8 or 9, 10 weeks. And if you kill the queen, you'll still have workers running around there for weeks. And so do the contact killer after that. So that's the Texas two-step method. And the reason it's called the Texas two-step has nothing to do with the dance.
You're not dancing.
It was developed by Texas A&M University. Okay. They developed that system. But there are a bunch of baits. I've got a list of probably 10 or 15 baits here.
And these are just
that are recommended. And then on the contact killers, there are a lot of contact killers out there that have imported fire ants on the label. Okay. Just follow the label directions.
Yeah, let's name some of those baits.
Okay, the baits we've got Extinguish, Distance, Award 2, PT Ascend, Spectricide, Fire Ant Killer, plus Preventer Bait, Advion Fire Ant Bait, Garden Tech Over and Out, Amdro Fire Ant Bait, Siesta, Extinguish Plus, and then the Spinosad baits such as Fertilome and Southern Ag Payback.
Okay.
And those are some examples of baits that are out there that will work. And then the contact killers are the ones with pyrethrins, synthetic pyrethroids, several of those that will, bifenthrin and esfenvalerate, and all of those that will do the job for you.
Make sure they read the label on that too, right?
Make sure you read the label.
Because when you're using the contact, right, you're going to pour that right on the mound itself, right?
The drenches drenches you pour right on the mound.
Right on the mound.
Yeah. And that's a good way to do it. Mix it in a 5-gallon bucket according to the label directions. That way you don't even have to use a sprayer.
That's right.
You can just drench the mound because the workers always return to the mound. But keep in mind, if you do a real good job of controlling fire ants, when that queen does her mating flight,
Oh,
she
man.
looks for an area that doesn't have fire ants.
Come
She
on,
doesn't like,
yeah.
she doesn't like a lot of competition.
Yeah.
And she will land in a fire ant-free area and create a new mound. So it's not something that you can do once and think that you're finished with. It's kind of an ongoing deal. You know you're going to have a picnic in August,
Yep.
Booker?
I don't have one.
You know, I'd go out there, you
Check
know,
the area, huh?
start about 3 or 4 weeks before that, and hopefully you'll be free during that picnic.
Because that way you see 'em a lot of time out in the field pasture park and like that where the people mow and they hit the mound, they kind of spread out.
Right.
And that's how you see them in field pasture.
Okay.
Most of these baits that I mentioned are also good for other ants.
Right, I
They'll
was gonna
take
ask
out
you to
other
mention that.
ants that are out there, and so if you have other ants that are creating problems for you, I would go with the baits.
Okay.
And you don't have to go with the two-step method on the other ants. Just the baits will take the colony out.
You probably will be doing it takes a two-step if you get bitten by some of these ants. I'm sure
The
at
fire
some
ants,
point.
they will make you do it.
And they'll make you do a
No.
jig.
Maneuver.
There's no doubt about that. Let me ask you this, because we get this question a lot. So you see some fire ant mounds that are real tall and some that are real, low to the ground. Why is that?
Well, the purpose of that fire ant mound is to pretty much regulate the temperature and humidity for the brood. And during conditions that are wet and cool, those mounds will usually be higher to try to get the brood or the young larvae out of the real damp conditions. You're going to see this hot weather and dry weather
Yeah.
that we're having, the mounds are going to almost disappear
Okay.
because they're going deep in order to get the cooler, more moist conditions.
How
Because
deep?
They,
How deep you think?
6, 8 inches, 10 inches, you can find them.
Wow.
Digging around, you
Yeah,
can find
they'll
them.
find you.
You'll find them. They're not that deep, but they don't have to have them up above the soil
Right.
line to keep them dry.
Wow.
And I say keep them dry, but they do require some moisture. So when it gets real dry, they're going down. I mean, they like a little humid, but
that?
they don't like it too wet. They don't like it too dry. Kind of like me and you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, so it's humidity. How about that? That's smart. Wow.
Pretty sharp critters to be so small, and they pack a punch.
They might need to go check our park out before we have our picnic. Make sure we don't have no fires out there.
Make sure, yeah.
Check 'em out.
But you have kids out there playing around. They don't know them. They just might run into them and get into them before you know it.
Right.
And that's where you see most of the problems when you have people that aren't familiar with fire ants. I know the first time my daughter found fire ants, I lived in an area when we didn't have them, and we were in an area that had them, and she's standing on a mound going, "What are all these little people?" Because fire ants take a solemn oath when they're small. Baby fire ants take a solemn
Okay.
oath. They will not sting until everybody's ready.
Oh my goodness.
So they'll cover you up and then
One
they hit you
time.
all at once.
Ooh,
And
man, that hit me right
and
now.
fortunately, we got them off my daughter before they got to
Right.
that point. So if you don't know what you're doing, you're not used to them.
Wow.
Then you can get in trouble. But people, a large percent of the population of the U.S. lives in areas that are infested with fire ants, or they survive nicely.
Wow. So do they have an automatic? Is it one sting or?
They've got an automatic.
They got
They're not like a
automatic?
honey. They can hit you. They have an automatic. Bam, bam, bam. Keep stinging.
All right. Thanks for the information about those fire ants.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy.
Over a period of time, you have dead grass, leaves, and blip in your soil. We call that thatch, and thatch is dead grass in your soil. And every now and then, you need to get that out of there for the water and stuff can penetrate down to the root system. And you use like a little garden rake there, especially you got a small area, you use a garden rake, and you just want to get in here real good, and just rake across, then get all that dead grass out of there. And let me say, you said, that dead grass coming out of there. Now you see the green grass begin to show through there when you got all that dead grass out of there. So when you get it out of there, and this be really good compost material when you get through to put into your compost bin. It'll rot and decay. You can use it in your flower bed. This is dead grass, leaves, and all the stuff that built up in your soil over a period of time. And you can just take this here, look at all that there that's came out of there. You can take this here and put it in your compost bin, and this be good material.
All right. Here's our Q&A session. Booker, you jump in there with us.
Okay,
all right?
then.
Here's our first viewer email from Miss Teresa. She writes, "My purple leaf plum tree bloomed this spring, but now there are no leaves on it. Can I save it or should I cut it down? What do y'all think?
Could be boards in there, couldn't it, Mike?
Yeah, I would look at the at the
Base.
bark, look at the trunk of that tree, and see if you see any gum, sap coming
oozing
out. But because probably if you have a peach plum or a nectarine in this area, you're going to get peach tree borers if you don't go with a preventative insecticide spray, and you've got to be pretty lucky to hit that. As that adult moth is flying around laying eggs. The peach tree borer is devastating. It's a devastating insect. They get in the trunk of the trees and disrupts the cambium layer, and it causes them to throw their leaves off. It causes them to die. It'll kill the tree. But peaches, plums, and nectarines, both the ornamental types and the fruit-bearing types, are susceptible to that. That's why I don't have any in my landscape.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And purple leaf plums have problems with borers. They're short-lived trees, as it is. But then you get these borers in there, and they will actually disrupt, the movement of water and nutrients, throughout the plant. So there you have it. Go ahead,
Yeah, I had one in my yard too, man. The same thing attacked it. Boards got in, and over a period of time, all the leaves were gone. So it will do that to that tree.
If you this time of the year, if you don't have any leaves on your purple leaf plum, I'd say take it out.
Cut it out. One cut, huh?
One pruning cut.
One pruning cut at the
It's called
ground.
severe renewal
pruning.
Take it down to the ground.
That's the best thing to do for it.
Like right at the bottom. Yeah, don't even worry about it. So there you go. I hope that helps you out, Miss Teresa. All right, here's our next question, next viewer email. I am having a problem with large earthworms in my garage and on my driveway. What can I do? I need help. I have a lawn service and they treat it with grub spray. No improvement. Any suggestions, ideas would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for your help, Miss Esther. Don't know if I'll be trying to get rid of those earthworms, Mr. D. So, what do you think?
If you've got earthworms, that indicates that you've got healthy
Good
soil.
I think so.
You've got organic matter, and I understand why the grubworm insecticide didn't kill the earthworms, because grubworms aren't earthworms.
That's
and
right.
Earthworms aren't grubworms. Grubworms feed on, plant material and roots and things like that, and but the earthworms, they're feeding on organic matter and I don't. What do earthworms feed on? They're just a hollow tube. I guess we are too. In a way, we're a hollow tube. We take stuff in and it goes out, but they don't feed on the same things.
Plant matter.
They don't feed on the same things. But that they aerate your lawn. They add organic matter to your, or they aerate your soil. They add organic matter to your soil. They're just an indicator of a healthy ecosystem in your soil. And I would not try to be getting rid of them. I know that it's irritating when you step on one and you're barefooted and as you're stepping out of your garage. But keep your broom handy and just kind of sweep them out of the way. And I wouldn't try to get rid of them.
No, I put them back in the lawn. Especially now it's so hot going across the concrete. Help them out. Put them back in the lawn.
Catch them and take a kid fishing.
Bait.
Brim, love them. Yeah, they're great bait. If you got that many, you don't even have to dig for them. You can sell fish bait, just pick them up off the ground.
You see them at a rain, you have a heavy rain, you'll see them there come out of the ground. I see them all the time on my sidewalk and everything. Like I said, I try to put them back in there. I don't want to just kill them because they're doing some good in your soil. They're really keeping the aerated some too, because they're moving through the soil. So try not to kill them.
Earthworms, I call them little tillers.
They're
your friends in the garden. They're your beneficials.
Yeah, they're going through the garden, having a good time.
Yeah, and they produce that black gold, which is earthworm casting, which you can use in your flower beds and things like that. So I would not try to get rid of my earthworms. I definitely would not do that, Ms. Esther. So I hope that helps you out. All right, here's our next question. My banana pepper plant has brown and black spots all over the leaves. What is causing that? And again, this is the banana pepper plant. Brown and black spots on the leaves specifically.
Right, the only thing that I saw that matches that description is the bacterial spot.
Okay. That's what I think as well.
I kind of looked down through the diseases in the red book again. And fixed copper mixed with mancozeb.
So copper-based fungicide?
A copper-based fungicide should give you some relief. I do notice that some varieties of peppers are resistant to bacterial spot, and you might want to check that out. And hopefully, I don't know how many peppers you said. Banana, is it one banana pepper?
Yeah, we don't know how many.
You know, you might want to check next time, or it's not too late to plant a banana pepper now, to try to find one that has some resistance to bacterial spot.
Right. Resistant varieties are always out there.
Resistant variety, that's better than having to spray all the time.
Right.
If you've got that problem, also this is some cultural practices. Don't pick your peppers or mess with them while they're wet, because you can spread it's bacterial, so you can spread it, and that's just one little thing that you might want to kind of keep in mind.
And another thing, pepper and tomato get the same disease. Rotate it.
That's right.
Rotate in the garden. That's one of the good things. Don't plant them where you had your tomato. Put them somewhere else in your garden next year, because the disease you put elsewhere might not get on that plant. So I rotate them. It probably about the next 3 years before I come to that same spot again. Okay. Then move them around in your vegetable garden.
Okay. Rotation, crop rotation, of course. Resistant varieties.
Resistant varieties, good.
And cultural practices. I think you should always mulch. Around your vegetables too. So cut down on the splashing effect. All right. Well, Mr. D, Booker, we're out of time. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Remember, we love to hear from you. Send us an email or letter. The email address is familyplot@wkno.org, and the mailing address is Family Plot, 7151 Cherry Farms Road, Cordova, Tennessee 38016. Or you can go online to familyplotgarden.com. That's all we have time for today. Thanks for watching. I'm Chris Cooper. Be sure to join us next time for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. Be safe.